Good evening. Welcome to the Corporation of Township Portsmouth October 14, 2025 Committee Adjustment meeting by electronic participation in person. There'll be two meetings tonight. The first one, as I mentioned, is a committee of adjustment, and the second will be advisory committee. As part of the committee of adjustment, we have 6 client areas to review and render decisions on. And as part of the advisory committee, we have 2 service applications, which we will be providing comments to the land division committee. So please note that the meeting is video and audio recorded, and all electronic meetings are uploaded to the municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in the meeting by electronic means, you are consenting to have your likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. So we'll do the roll call first. Chris Picard.
Present.
Paul Seda.
Present.
Kim McCarthy.
Present.
Carolus Atia.
Present.
And I, Councilor John Lewis, are present as well. So we'll go into the moment of reflection. Thank you. So I'd like to also advise in attendance is our clerk, Justine Brotherston, to my right. To her right is our junior planner, Sofawala, and we have available by video is Jesse Ospitz, our planning consultant, with respect to the first item we'll be dealing with today. So do we have any we'll do a confirmation agenda. So would you please do the confirmation agenda?
That the committee approves the October 14th, 2025 agenda as circulated, and that the committee approves the additions to the agenda as follows. Consent item 6.2, questions received from committee members seeking additional information and the corresponding responses provided by staff regarding the October 14th, 2025 committee meeting agenda.
Okay, we have mover and second. Kim, second. Chris, all in favor? Okay, let's move into disclosure of conflict of interest. Do we have any from anybody? No. No. Thank you. Let's do the consent agenda resolution, Justine.
That the consent agenda items listed for the October 14th, 2025 committee meeting be received for information.
Okay, may I have a mover? Seconder. Carolus. Okay, any comments or changes to the minutes before we approve them? No. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna move into the application on minor variance for permission of section 45 of the Planning Act. The purpose of these hearings is to inform and provide the public with the opportunity to ask questions or express their views on the respect to minor variance application before us today. Township requested, please notify the secretary of the committee by email at planning@portsmouth.ca if you wish to be on record and would like to be notified of future hearings and decisions regarding specific application. We also have forms, form to fill out as well if you would prefer to not do it in that format. So the format of each hearing is as follows. I'll read the application to be heard and ask staff to display the relevant information. Staff will then present the information report, specifically outline the purpose of this application, summarizing compliance with the township's notification and submission requirements, and outlining staff comments. The applicant then will present the purpose and details of the application and any further relevant information. Following this, the public can obtain clarification, ask questions, and express their views on the proposal. You have a maximum of 10 minutes to speak. Following this, the members of the committee can obtain clarification and ask questions as well. And if a member wishes to ask a condition or ask for a vote on condition, the committee will deliberate the application and with any approved conditions and render a decision. The decision will be subject to the 20-day appeal period. So we'll start with the first one, which is actually the item 7.6, P13 FIS Fisher James. 6542-6584 Gold Road, Township of Portsmouth. requesting relief from new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended to permit shipping containers to be used as noise attenuation barrier for a minimum of 8 meters. So, Steve, would you please summarize the application, notification, submission requirements, and outlining staff, agency, and public comments and recommendations? Sure.
Okay, so that report D 13-2025-025 entitled minor variance application D 13 FIS be received. And whereas the variance requested would provide relief from section 424 of the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw 2018-023 as amended, zoning bylaw to permit shipping containers to be used as a noise attenuation barrier of a maximum height of 8 meters. Therefore, be it resolved that the committee approves the requested variance from section 424 of the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw as amended to permit shipping containers to be used as a noise attenuation barrier of up to a maximum of height of 8 meters as presented in the report, as staff are of the opinion that the variance is minor in nature, is desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land, building, or structure, and maintains the general intent and purpose of the County of Wellington official plan and township zoning bylaw, and therefore the planning staff are recommending approval of the application with the following conditions: that the owner applies for and receives site plan approval for the proposed structures intended for noise attenuation purposes. That is a length and location generally consistent with the sketch attached as Appendix 1, and that the site plan agreement be registered on title. And that the shipping containers are sealed off and are at least 100 meters away from the nearest legal residential use. And that the owner submits a noise report to the satisfaction of an accredited acoustical engineer engaged by the township and implements the recommendations from the noise report through the site plan process.
Okay, so you can put up the relevant time, Michael, and would we please have the owner or applicant come forward and do the canvas to present their application? Please state your name and address for the record and present your application.
Certainly. Good evening to the chair and members of the committee. My name is Caroline Baker. I'm a registered land use planner with Baker Planning Group. I'm here this evening representing the owner of the property. Mr. Fisher is also in attendance as a member of the Sportsman Gun Club. There was a presentation sent through on PowerPoint. I don't know if that would be a better one to share if able. Thank you very much. Okay, if you go to next slide, that would be wonderful. On this slide, what you'll see is an overview of the site that is subject to the minor variance before you this evening. If members are familiar, this is the Sportsman Gun Club on the north side of Gore Road. This has been a recreational and professional gun club along with archery and fishing since 1954. They do have approximately 2,000 members and they are run by volunteers. I just want to note related to the minor variance that the existing use of the property is legally permitted in the zoning bylaw and is legally permitted to continue to be used as such. The purpose of the variance is not related to the use of the site for the use of archery, gun, or fishing. That is an established legal use. The applicants are here today to address the minor variance to install a noise wall to work collaboratively with the township and the community to address concerns that have been heard related to noise. The nature of the minor variance application is solely to allow a permitted noise wall to be constructed from shipping containers as opposed to wood or concrete or another structure you might see for a noise wall. In this regard, we view this as an accessory building or structure that would be on the property to attenuate noise. What you will see on this image is it is a very large property. It's about 100 hectares in size. It does have surrounding agricultural properties that are used for residential purposes that may have been historically severed and allowed to permit single detached dwellings. I would note, however, that this is an agricultural area. It is not within a settlement boundary intended for residential development. So as I mentioned, the minor variance really from our point of view was to seek greater clarity that the noise wall could be constructed from shipping containers. There are existing provisions, section 4.24 that was noted earlier, that regulates shipping containers within the township through the zoning bylaw. In our view, this section regulates shipping containers for active uses such as storage, not necessarily where it's a passive use used as a wall. The noise wall, well constructed of shipping containers, would not be used for storage. They would be sealed off. There would be no use interior to the shipping containers. It is solely to create a structural wall for noise attenuation. As part of the minor variance application in determining the four tests of minor variance, the applicant did submit a visual assessment given the size and length of the noise wall. If you go to the next slide. Thank you. You'll just see some pictures of the property. So on the top left, it would be, this would be a view from the driveway in off of Gore Road to the neighboring residential use on that agricultural property. The image on the right is the driveway in. You can see it's very well treed. And the image at the bottom is the range in which the noise will be attenuated. So the noise wall would be located on the existing interface between the gravel and the shooting range. And an already developed location. So it's not going any closer to any natural feature than existing development is certainly located. And you'll see that in the comments supporting the staff report that have been received, including the Conservation Authority. So in terms of the visual assessment, it was determined due to this separation between the proposed noise wall and the surrounding residential use, the grade changes, and the existing tree cover, that there would be no negative impact in terms of a visual assessment. I did want to note that if we look at the existing provisions in the zoning bylaw, given the significance of this site, if the owner were to adhere to the zoning bylaw, in fact, up to 107,000 square feet of accessory building and structures would be permitted as of right on this property. The noise wall represents 0.3% of the total square footage that could be built on this property. And noting that the parent zoning bylaw, in fact, permits any accessory structure from being between 2 and 3 meters from a property line. Important to note when we get down to the conditions, because we do have some requests for consideration by the committee of staff's recommended conditions. In our submission letter, it was detailed that in our opinion, this application is consistent with provincial planning statement. This is rural lands and rural areas, and the provincial planning statement directs us to leverage our rural amenities as well as promote rural tourism, of which this club does promote both. In my opinion, it also conforms to the official plan. As noted, the use is already permitted. Accessory structures and buildings are permitted in the official plan. And in my opinion, it meets the 4 tests of minor variance. In my view, it's minor and desirable. Minor in the terms of the scale of the proposed noise wall in relation to the overall site size, and certainly desirable in terms of working with the community to attenuate noise for this existing use. With respect to the conditions of approval, as noted, there are 3 conditions, easily summarized. The first requiring site plan approval, of which the owners have already submitted and received first set of comments. That site plan submission did include an acoustical noise report by an acoustical engineer that has been sealed and stamped and submitted to the township. The second condition is looking for a 100-meter setback to a residential use for the proposed noise wall. And the third condition is requesting a noise report. I'm working with staff. Once we had an opportunity to view the conditions last week, we do have a number of concerns with the conditions. First and foremost, I'll start at the bottom where I finished off with respect to the noise study. I want to be clear that this minor variance is intended to simply allow a noise wall to be constructed of shipping containers as opposed to out of wood or concrete. It is a question of material, and the use is permitted. By adding a condition that a noise study is required for the noise wall suggests that the existing use as a gun club is somehow offside in terms of the policy framework. They are a legally existing permitted use, and in fact, there are no policies in the township's official plan or zoning bylaw or other bylaws unrelated to planning, for example, a noise bylaw or MPC 300 that in fact apply to this site to require or permit the requesting of a noise study. Our concern is that this condition cannot be implemented because there is no policy framework to request a study. There's no framework in which for it to be reviewed and the owner to have any certainty on how the township is reviewing it. Further, because an acoustical report was prepared in a collaborative fashion and already submitted and reviewed by the township, this appears to be a duplication of conditions. And in my opinion, without the policy framework, is not an appropriate condition for a minor variance under the Planning Act. When we move to condition 2, with respect to the 100-meter separation, again, when I look at the zoning bylaw, if this was concrete or if this was a wood, there would be no setback requirement. And yet 100 meters is being determined to be an appropriate setback for land use compatibility. And in my mind, there's no justification for 100 meters, or I guess 334 feet, when the zoning bylaw in fact permits setbacks of 2 to 3 meters for any accessory structure that could have a use in it, that could have storage. Again, this has no storage, this has no use, and concerns related to privacy or overlook, I don't believe apply in this case. And in fact, it's attenuating noise, not creating more noise. So again, I question why 100-meter setback needs to be included in the condition. I'd also question the use of the term residential use. So the condition is suggesting 100 meters from a residential use. That is not a defined term in either the OP or the zoning bylaw. And how is that being determined? Is it a residential structure? Does the residential structure have to be legal, or can it be grandfathered? Is it a residential property line? Is it a rear yard? The ambiguity makes the condition not achievable to implement for the owners nor the township. And I would question, when the zoning bylaw already permits such significant structures to be substantially closer to those adjacent property lines, why such a significant number of 100 meters was put into this variance. And when I look at the first condition, we had worked with the township and their planning consultants that are online, whether there's a way to provide clarity to condition 1 that would allow for the removal of condition 3. We had provided suggested wording after receiving the staff report that we could put additional language in condition 1, and I'd be happy to read it out at an appropriate time, just to be very clear that the proposed structure that would be permitted through this variance is for noise attenuation purposes. Again, so it's very clear it's not to be used for any other reason and simply acts like a wall, which would, I believe, assist with condition 2 and 3. That does summarize my presentation, but happy to answer questions or discuss the wording as appropriate for the committee.
Okay, can you just look forward to post wording for your condition 1?
Of course.
Because what we want to do now is, after you've done that, we have turn it over to the public to ask their questions, pose their comments, and then we'll bring it back to the committee, and we'll be asking our planning staff on various aspects of your comments.
To the chair, certainly. I'll go slowly. So if we start with condition 1, I would leave the beginning. It says that the owner applies for and receives site plan approval. And then I would add in for the proposed structure, or with an S in brackets, intended for noise attenuation purposes. So that would be the new words, comma, and then keeping that is of a length and general location, generally consistent, and that a site plan agreement be registered on title, which is the wording you already have. When we move to condition 2, we have discussed various options with town.
Well, I think we're okay, but you're only suggesting number 1, you're objecting to 2 and 3, and that's fine. So let's turn it over to the public now. So Carolyn, can you just have a seat on the side there?
Through the chair, I apologize. We did have a suggestion for 2 that was sent to township staff. Do you want me to wait till the public goes? Okay.
So have a seat there and
Yep.
bring, let's go,
There?
yeah, because
Okay.
we'll bring the public here so
Of
they
course.
can ask questions of you, ask questions of staff, so that we're not in conflict with you right beside. Okay, so Justine, do we have any people requested to speak?
3 issue, we've had 2 members of the public speak. With that being said, other members are also.
Sure, absolutely. So who's the first one who's asked to speak?
Mr. Will has requested to speak.
Okay, Mr. Will, if you'd like to please come down and present, make your comments. We'll give you 10 minutes to speak and ask your questions.
Well, good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak on this matter. My name is Roger Will, and I reside on Town Line Road. I abut the Sportsman's Club. My first question is, and I've asked this of staff, is what legal authority does the applicant have to operate? Now, I've lived there since 1985, and this,
Sorry, but that's not germane to the what we're asking here. Here we're dealing with strictly with the use of containers on the site. Is there an issue with having the use of containers on the site for a noise barrier? It's got nothing to do with any prior issues or issues that are unrelated to the use of containers on the site for noise.
I'm just putting some more information forward because.
Well, you posed it as a question, and I'm not gonna allow that question.
Okay,
So, please quit.
okay, so, this is the first notice that I've received in 40 years from the gun club for any changes. I did a request to the township for records about the club, and there was none in existence. Now, like I said, I moved to the property in 1985. At that time, I purchased a zoning and bylaw booklet and an official plan from the township. It was in booklet form. And there was no information in that booklet, in either one, about the gun club. Furthermore, in the late 1990s, as a fire prevention officer for the township, the camping at the Sportsman's Club was removed because it was found not to be within their official plan. Now, there was mention about what's going on at the club. In 1985, I met with Sean, who lived in the house, and later on Greg Phelps, who was the president of the club. And at that time, there was hunting, fishing, shooting on Wednesdays and Saturdays only. Sunday was the Lord's Day of rest.
Mr. Will, I hate to interrupt you. We're dealing strictly with the containers being used as a noise attenuation barrier. Do you have any specific comments related to that?
Okay, so. In regards to the shipping containers, a 30-second Google search on whether or not shipping containers were appropriate for a noise mitigation, the answer came up no. It would actually make the situation worse. You need a sound absorbing material, not hard surfaces. The shipping containers will only echo the gunshots and create more of a ping noise with that. With every gunshot. So now the consultant said that these are all opinions that she has in regards to what effect the shipping containers have, and I don't agree with that. And I would suggest that the applicant would have to follow procedures such as the Quesnel application D14/QUIH 1873 Town Line Road. Now, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to bring this up. I received something from bylaw. Just a question, am I allowed to speak about the violation of the noise bylaw or not complying with the
No, we're dealing-
Environmental Protection Act?
No, we're strictly dealing with the containers or something that is acceptable by the committee at large for use as a noise barrier.
Okay, so in closing then, all I can say is the shipping containers will not work. Google it yourself. I sent the chairman a copy of what I found. And so with that, I would not be in favor of this application.
I know, sir, any members have any questions of the applicant? Chris?
Nothing for me, thank you.
No? Yeah? Thank you. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next person.
Mr. Silva.
Good evening, Chair.
Good evening.
Thank you. I won't be as polished, obviously, and I have to admit, I'm a little bit stressed because this issue is causing a lot of havoc in our home. So I'm gonna try to stick to this script so I don't get off track, but if I do, my apologies. Anyway, so my name is Olinda Da Silva, and I'm a resident of Cushlands and have been a resident for almost 20 years.
Please state your address as well for the record.
Gore Road,
Which is-
right next to the gun club.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna go down the list of my kind of questions and concerns, not in order of priority in any way, shape, or form, but some of the items that I noticed on the application. So my first one was the date of acquisition, subject property, date of construction of buildings, and how long the existing uses continued on the subject property, all stated in 1994. Please correct me if I'm mistaken, but the Galt Sportsman's Club originated in Galt. That is now Cambridge in 1954 at the Dixon Dairy, like at the Dixon where they hold the fair right now. Not when they purchased this property. So I think the application, maybe just some clarification. There's some items that might need to be corrected. So please, if I can have some clarification, as my understanding, the Galt Sportsman's Club originated in Galt, as I said, and only moved its small operation to Cushlands upon purchase of the Grimmer Farm, the approximate 100 acres, the original 100 acres. Now, the second point that they made here is in reference to the 1% lot coverage. I'm not exactly 100% what that refers to. I believe 3% was now mentioned. So is that just the wall of sea containers? Or is that the original residential building that existed on that 100-acre farm? The main club hall building, the indoor shooting range building, the outdoor shooting range building, the one that exists next to the outdoor shooting range, and the various structures that have been constructed on the premises, and the actual areas that are rendered unusable due to debris of the gunshots. Does it include the 50 acres of sporting place with 17 stations? I'm just looking for clarification. They're asking for an application to build a wall of sea cans and stating that it's only going to encompass 1% or 3% now of the property. But there's a lot of accessory buildings on that property that already exist. I'm assuming they've all been approved by the township. But that's okay. My next point. Under noise mitigation design, GRIT, right, states that the most appropriate mitigation option is the implementation of a sealed container wall due to height requirements for mitigation. An earth berm would have annexed most of the areas currently utilized by the site for access. Additionally, the design of the earth berms required areas regulated under the Grand River Conservation Authority to be impacted. The cost factor was also included in the report. I'm trying to understand the rationale behind this. Not the best option, but the one that requires the least number of hurdles to overcome is what I'm trying to understand. That's what I'm gathering from this report. It's the easiest route out. Now, number 4, under County of Wellington Official Plan 1999 section, that's per GRIT's report, the site is designated as secondary agriculture, core greenlands and greenlands, and part of the Paris and Galt Moraine Policy Area. The official planning act is based on some of the following concepts. Healthy communities, promote social, physical, and mental well-being, as well as the reduction of stress of daily living is the goal of the official plan. Although the wall of sea containers might have some positive noise mitigation as per GRIT, Engineering, how does the constant barrage of gunfire in our home at their anticipated reduction to 70 decibels, POR, point of reception, so in my backyard, help my families and my well-being? Has the township or this committee been provided with grits / golf sportsman's club noise study? What are the levels they are shooting at now that require a massive sea container wall to be built to protect the residents surrounding their property? Point number 5, grid engineering report under conclusion states their conclusions. It is GRID's opinion that noise impacts at the nearest point of reception will meet the maximum permitted sound level of 70 dBAI. Okay? States that the impact assessment criteria was obtained from the Corporation of the Township of Cushland's draft bylaw to regulate, prohibit, and otherwise control noise from shooting ranges. Can somebody please explain to me where that max was derived from? As GRID's assessment methodology, according to the report, was calculated using ISO 9613-2 2024 as required by NPC 300. Also, where were the sound readings done? Not on our premises, not that we know of. Nobody came by. They did not come by and ask to do sound readings on our property. It seems to me that they're putting the cart before the horse. My second last point is under GRID's report section 4, tests of minor variance. Section 4, does the application conform to the general intent of the official plan? GRID states in their professional opinion, the minor variance conforms to the general intent of the official plan, which promotes recreation opportunities in the rural areas of Cushland for Cushland's residents. The proposed noise wall will provide the continued use of the site for recreational purposes while providing for noise attenuation to surrounding residential properties. So 70 members of the Golf Sportsman's Club versus 1,930 members who are not Cushland's residents, plus their guests who don't pay their primary residential taxes to our township in no way, shape, or form, in my humble opinion, conforms to the general intent of the official plan, according to their GRID's reasoning. In conclusion, we as a family ask that this minor variance not be accepted based on the fact that the noise attenuation will not conform to any provincial standard and is based on a proposed bylaw, something that doesn't exist at the moment and will continue to violate my rights and our family's rights and the rights of the residents surrounding the gun club. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
No questions from me, thank you.
No, thank you. Hey, anybody else in the audience would like to come forward and speak? Did we have anybody in the audience who'd like to speak?
Anybody in the audience online attending this meeting who would like to speak to this matter, they can speak now. You can use raise hand function or located at bottom of your screen. I don't see any.
Okay, so before we turn to the our committee members, I'd like our planning consultant, Jesse Askis, to comment on the 3 proposed changes made by the applicant for the conditions.
Yes. Hi, so through the chair. So we have been, since the staff report was published, we have been consulting back and forth with the applicant planner I think the main condition we're not as concerned about is condition number 3. Condition number 3, we can defer to site plan stage. We do want to have a noise study accepted. The reason is, and that can be dealt with at site plan stage. The reason is we want to ensure that there wouldn't be investment in shipping containers that may not do what's required by the bylaw, and we want to make sure it's properly peer reviewed. The applicant did have a noise study done, and the applicant has had prepared a noise study, and there's presently work going back and forth with the noise consultant. I'm gonna go to condition number 1. We did come to that the owner applies for receive site plan approval for the proposed structures intended for noise and attenuation purposes that is of a length and location generally consistent with the sketch as appendix A, and a site plan agreement be registered on title. The reason for that condition is we don't, I mean, there were some items noted in the even in the planning justification report that spoke to visual impact, and that plan justification report did recognize that there was a certain distance for those shipping containers. We're comfortable and we just don't want shipping containers to be anywhere on the site. The second condition, we still want to have a condition that limits the shipping containers to 100 meters away from the nearest legal residential use. We do recognize that there are potential visual impacts that was noted in the PJR. The PJR was based on a 200-meter setback, but we're comfortable reducing it to 100. And that condition would be that the shipping containers are sealed off and are at least 100 meters away from the nearest legal residential use.
Barbara, would you please come back here and we'll have the members, they may or may not pose any questions of you, so start with you.
So just so I have this clear, and hopefully that'll help the audience. The only reason for the minor variance is the fact that the sound wall is shipping containers. Otherwise, you could go and get a building permit with no public consultation for a conventional noise wall, like I see at the side of the 401.
Through the chair, that is correct.
Okay, so
So is that correct?
Through the chair, I would just clarify that site plan control would still be applicable,
yes,
but yes.
but not the minor variance process. Yes. And if I understand correctly, sea containers are the most cost-effective choice from the club's perspective, rather than a wood wall or concrete wall. And I get the berm would be, it would just take up so much land, it's not viable.
Through the chair, that would be correct. The club looked at a combination, not only of, I want to be clear, not just cost, but also efficiency and timelines to get the noise wall up to attenuate noise. So it was a combination of both options. As I'm sure you can appreciate, CCANs are already constructed and can be brought into the site. So it was a combination of cost as well as efficiency of time to address some of the concerns related to noise.
The noise study assumes a 70 dBA level within the draft bylaw. What happens if the draft bylaw drops to 60?
Through the chair, at the current moment, it is only a draft. So just to be clear, currently there are no standards of noise levels that have to be achieved on the site. You are correct that the noise study or the acoustical report that was prepared by a professional engineer was attenuating to the 70 dBA set out in the township bylaw. If there are changes to that when it is approved, then the club will have to give consideration to that because it will be an enforced bylaw in the township.
Thank you. What I didn't see in the report was anything about the effect of echoes off the containers. They're a fairly hard surface, not an absorbing surface. They'll certainly block, I should think, based on their report, the sound going that way, but the echoes going back, was that considered in their report, do you know?
Through the chair, I'll try my best to answer. I'm not an acoustical engineer. I am an urban planner. Certainly, through the chair, the way the noise wall is positioned, is it's located a distance back, from the shooting range, such that, for safety laws, the guns have to go in the opposite direction. And any feedback, from them, I'm not a gun expert myself, so I'll, park that, bias that I'm not, an expert in that. But there isn't necessarily, a risk of back material, right? In terms of, they're required to go forward for the gun range, so I'm not sure what would go
I
back.
wasn't clear in my question. I'm talking about sound echoes. Bouncing, you know, the containers are blocking the sound going one way, but they're going to create an echo going the other way, or reflected sound. Did the sound report look at that?
Through the chair, I will certainly bring that back to the acoustical engineer because the site plan is reviewing the noise report and we are in receipt of the peer review comments, so I can take that back to them.
Thank you.
Sure, staff can look at that as well.
Yeah, it's just, it wasn't clear to me. And then the visibility question. I looked at the report fairly carefully. I'm certainly in favor of the 100-meter distance. I would not want to be looking at a wall of steel sea cans either. Pictures are in the summer, lots of leaves on trees. How visible are they going to be in the winter? And would the gun club be open to, as part of the site plan agreement, for example, painting them a nice forest green, just to pick a color, and keeping them well painted so that they are as inobtrusive as possible from their surrounding areas?
Through the chair, I can certainly speak with the owners in terms of the color. I think where we provided, and I apologize, I didn't quite get a chance to comment on, it wasn't our intent to remove that condition. The intent was to revise it to a number different than 100 meters. Because of the lack of clarity of the residential use term, it isn't an implementable condition because there's no defined term of what it's being set back from. So that was the concern with the condition. In my view, you are correct. There are coniferous and deciduous trees that align the buffer. There was a combination in the assessment. It wasn't just the trees that were providing a buffer. There also is the grade elevation change. There are intervening uses on the site between the property to the west. It's likely the one in question that you saw the pictures. There is the driveway, there's a gravel parking area. There are 3 existing buildings that all are intervening, both that site and the noise wall. From my professional planning perspective, in my opinion, the township of Pushlands has clearly indicated it is appropriate to have a structure of a significant size within 3 meters of a property line. And I question the increase of that when the bylaw itself has established that precedent, but that would be just my planning opinion.
And I think if they want to do shipping, if they want relief on the shipping containers, then we want relief on the setback. It seems a reasonable trade to me, but not to get into that debate. Yeah, I looked at the planning report on page 3 that said, based on the foregoing, it's anticipated the noise wall will have very limited, if any, visibility. Well, I'm assuming that means there may be some. I'm just looking for what the owner's position is on not having a multicolored wall of used sea cans looming in the distance.
Upstairs. Through the chair, I'll certainly defer to the club on that. That will be a decision for them. What I would say though is that I don't believe the seeing of another use is inherently inappropriate. You have to look at the context of what's proposed and what it's trying to achieve, but I can certainly speak to the owners about the color.
Thank you. Covers it for me.
Hey, Paul.
Chris covered off with most of my questions there. I do agree with the setback though. Thank you.
Just 2 items, I guess, one specifically as it relates to the sealed container component. What kind of guarantees can be put in place that after these are installed, that someone doesn't just put in a door or open things up and create storage after it's been approved?
Through the chair, there is a site plan application that has been filed with township staff. Certainly we would work with them, but as you likely know, there would be a site plan agreement that is registered on title that is enforceable by the municipality, similar to any property owner undertaking any use that's not permitted. Of course, that would be subject to bylaw review, but no different than any other use that wouldn't be permitted on site, but it can be specified in a site plan agreement registered on title.
Just because we're using something that's not its standard use. So trying to use a shipping container for essentially a barrier or a fence is not standard for that. So you gotta put something in place that might prohibit someone from in the future using it for storage as someone might. The second item I have is the way the installation instructions or details are identified is the shipping container is actually below grade by, let's call it a foot or two, I don't know the dimension. Shipping containers aren't generally supposed to be below grade, which would then cause issues with potential degradation of the structure itself. Is there any, like, how do you make sure that that structure is going to maintain its integrity if it's below grade?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. Through the site plan application, there's been first circulation response comments. The building department is also involved with respect to a building permit. And there was questions back through the site plan with respect to the base of the structure and the engineer design. And I would trust that both the applicant's engineers and township staff and their expertise in building and engineering will be reviewing that.
Jesse, could you please comment?
Yes, I wanted to just comment on the point of the shipping containers being used for storage. One of the conditions that was recommended was that the shipping containers are sealed off. So if the shipping containers were to be used for storage, it would be inconsistent with the recommended conditions.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have some questions, yeah. I'm just wondering, the assessment for the engineering report, I mean, it offers the general recommendation at the end that the sound doesn't exceed the 70 decibels, but does it actually do any studies as to what the sound was before, or what it would be after, like what's the actual impact on like the change, what's the delta there? Like,
So through the chair, certainly, as mentioned, the acoustical study was submitted as part of the site plan, not necessarily the variance application. But the intent of that acoustical report was to look at the reduction overall to meet the draft township bylaw. As you can appreciate, this is a very large site with multiple, I don't know if I'd almost describe it like a golf course, different holes that you go around to that have different levels of skill and angle. And so certainly, you know, there is the entire property. This is a location that's closer to surrounding uses and determined appropriate to look at a noise wall. So again, it's trying to attenuate the noise for the future township.
so there's no like a concrete decibel that was actually like measured, or that's gonna be like, it doesn't actually state anything concrete really.
Well, I think through the, I can go back to the noise report, but through the chair, there are no current requirements. It is bringing the noise level down, but just to be very clear, there's no current requirement to bring it down.
Are the shipping containers being modified in any way, or are they just bare shipping containers?
So through the chair, they would be bare shipping containers that would be sealed. To your question, of course, they'll need to be structurally sound in the ground as well as structurally sound as you move out of the ground, because it's proposing stacking 2 containers on top of each other. And so there'll need to be some interconnection for stability.
So I would presume these materials have an actual like a STC, like a sound transmission class, like a rating for sound attenuation. But when they're bare, they're not like insulated. It has like is there any study as to what the actual bare sea container will do in terms of sound? Like I understand the report, but like these are materials like, for example, like there's the CMCC for materials that are approved for like use in buildings, or like in the code where it says like wall assemblies have like certain sound transmission classes, right? So is there anything like you're saying the sea containers itself, the walls aren't being modified, so they're just the steel? Is that
Through the chair, the acoustical report that was prepared by the engineer looked at the shipping container as is and then installed, and then looked at the material itself, your point to STC rating. So when we look at buildings, you know, brick, wood, there's various construction that have STC ratings, windows as well. So they looked at the materiality of the shipping container to attenuate noise.
okay? And this is more so maybe a question for staff. I don't know if but what is the actual like clause that like a relief is being sought for. I don't, like, I can see in the application, it says that it's more so a proactive application in terms of like clarifying whether a container can be used as a sound attenuation wall, but is there anything actually like prohibiting the use of a sea container in general as a like?
So through the chair,
Applications.
sorry, through the chair, the bylaw allows for shipping containers to be used for storage purposes. If it is not being used, if the shipping containers are not being used for storage purposes, our interpretation of the bylaw is that relief is required.
Okay, thanks, thank you, no further question.
Yeah, I was wondering if you can comment on the coverage. One of the applicants is concerned about the coverage and what is the permitted coverage in your opinion and what do you have on the site right now?
Thank you to the chair for that question. I had it a note to clarify that
Sure.
From that comment, and certainly happy to clarify it. In terms of the zoning bylaw, there is what I call lot coverage for the main permitted use. So the gun club itself has a lot coverage for the entirety of the site. Based on our calculations, it's a less than a 1% lot coverage for existing buildings. And I see why it was a bit confusing because there's lot coverage for the primary use and what is existing. And that is less than 1% for existing buildings on the overall site. Sort of got confused when we moved to accessory structures. There's a separate section required in the zoning bylaw for the lot coverage of accessory structures. And accessory structures for a property of this size. So there's different lot coverage permissions based on a property size. Given the size of this property, the zoning bylaw permits 1% of the total site area to convert into a gross floor area for accessory buildings and structures. So if we take the approximately 100 acres, times it by 1%, that means the zoning bylaw allows approximately 1 hectare of accessory buildings and structures on the property, which you can then extrapolate to square meters and square feet. The comment I made about 0.3%, not 3%, is that the proposed noise wall represents 0.3% of the total square footage allowed for accessory buildings and structures on the site. So even if you combined both the proposed noise wall and existing buildings, it is significantly under both the permission for main permitted buildings and accessory permitted buildings. But happy to explain that a different way. It's just similar numbers are overlapping.
The other question about the deputy that asked was to do with the name specifically, the registration and where is the club registered officially?
So through the chair, my understanding is that it was founded, so my comment was that it was founded in 1954. Certainly, my understanding in working with township staff is that it's a legally permitted use on the site. So while I'd be happy to sort of go through some of the history of name changes and locations with them after this meeting. I believe, according to township staff in my review, it's a legally permitted use, but certainly Mr. Fisher is here that could elaborate. I wouldn't be the expert through the 60s and 70s, but I can certainly rely on his knowledge as well.
I won't go into details here. The issue I had is strictly to use the shipping containers as the noise attenuation mechanism. Hey, what I heard from the members, you, Chris, that you were concerned about the shipping containers be painted. So I'm gonna suggest that we put a condition that shipping containers be painted a suitable color and maintained.
I would agree, yes.
To be maintained, or maybe I'll just clarify that, be painted a suitable color to blend with the environment
Yes,
and maintained.
Yep.
So that, and then Kim, you talked about sealing, you're concerned about sealing, but maybe we had the word permanently sealed. So at least that's in there. The aspect with respect to the legal residential use, I was wondering if we can get a comment from staff or interpretation of how we interpret it as a township, the clause legal residential use. Jesse or Justine, either one?
So we would interpret it to be any property that has a dwelling So the dwelling as well as the amenity area associated with the dwelling.
Anything else, Justine? Okay, so we have the application before us. So I'm gonna ask the committee members to either approve, deny, defer, or approve with the following conditions. And the conditions, can we get them read? Justine, so that everybody's aware of them?
So the first condition is that the owner applies for and receives site plan approval for the proposed structures intended for noise attenuation purposes that is of a length and location generally consistent with the sketch attached as Appendix A, and that the site plan agreement be registered on title, and that the shipping containers are permanently sealed off and are at least 100 meters away from the nearest legal residential use, being a dwelling and associated amenity area for the dwelling. That the owner submits a noise report to the satisfaction of an accredited acoustical engineer engaged by the township and implements the recommendations from the noise report through the site plan approval process. And that the shipping containers be painted a suitable color to blend with the environment and the intent.
Okay. Have a mover? Yeah, Chris, second, Tim. Okay, all those who are in favor? Okay. I'll approve, I should say, approve with the following, with the conditions noted. Okay. Denied. Okay, the deferred. So, it's all approved with the conditions as noted. Great, thank you. So, that's it for this hearing on this particular item. So, we'll go back out of the hearing and, Justine, can you just, reiterate the, recommendation? We'll expect you to read the whole thing, but basically just the, this change, just to add the changes in.
There have been no kind of changes to this recommendation.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder for this. All seconded by him, all in favor? Yep. Thank you. So let's move down to the 7.2. Up to 7.1. Back into the hearing for 7.1, D13 WIM. Remy Marcel Eric, 68 Jasper Heights, Township Woodlands, requesting relief of new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended from section 14, table 14.1, site specific provision number 86 to allow reduced front yard setback of 1.5 meters for existing shed instead of 2 as required. All right, so Justine, would you just take us through the comments, the application, notification, submission requirements, all next staff agency, public comments and recommendations.
So there was one additional comment received for this application from the Wellington Common Commons Condominium Corporation 214 regarding the minor variance application. So they know as required under the Condominium Act, the Board of Directors is responsible for enforcing the corporation's governing documents. The owner of 68 Jasper Heights, Mr. Eric Womascara, is currently in non-compliance with the corporation's declaration as prior written approval from the board was not obtained. All construction must be with respect to the integrity of the easement and ensure that its functionality is not impaired. Section 617, no replacement, expansion, or significant aeration of any building or structure located on any exclusive use portion may be made without the prior written consent of the board, which consent the board is not required to give, and if given, only in strict accordance with the terms and provisions of such consent. This process ensures that all structures comply with the township bylaws and that no construction interferes with shared or common services. Furthermore, the corporation has reason to believe that the shed in question may be used for a business purpose, which is not permitted in the community. For your reference, they provide a copy of the corporation's declaration that was given in non-compliance. The board of directors formally objects to the approval of the variance application. And then for staff's recommendation, the recommendation is that report D13 2025-012 entitled minor variance application D13 WIM be received. And whereas the variance requested would provide relief from section Table 14.1, site specific special provision number 86 of the Township Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw 2018-023, as amended, requesting permission to allow reduced front yard setback of 1.55 meters for an existing shed instead of 2 meter front yard setback as required. And whereas the minor variance application would maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, is considered minor and is desirable and appropriate for the development of the subject property, and therefore planning staff consider the request minor and recommend.
We hope you please flash the drawing on there and the applicant, if you're the applicant, you please state your name and address for the record.
68 Jasper Heights, Eric Wimmel Sacred.
Okay, so go ahead, present your application.
I tried to meet all the requirements as they were stated. The building is not going to be used for anything other than storage. I tried to meet all the requirements for that was put forward to me. Yeah.
So just to help you out, so the issue is we're asking for a minor variance, and can you just tell me what the minor variance issue is?
Oh, sorry. This corner, I think it's not even, this corner right here is said, is supposed to be 2 meters. And it's 1.55. Now, this is on an existing, concrete pad, where the older shed was. And it's just, was replacing it. And now it's, but because it's being replaced, it's not considered, I guess, grandfathered. And as a storage shed, it meets the building requirements with the new size. So that's essentially we're not meeting it because of that. Now it was meeting it before the road was widened. So now the road has changed, the width of the road has been increased. I understand why, because of how many lakes was originally constructed. I guess for fire route purposes and whatnot, they've encroached on. But that pad was existing before, but the pins have been removed. So the only thing that I can measure to is the existing road now, not to where the actual property line is. So essentially, that's why it's was before, but now isn't at that line. Now the building was up for, over a year before, but I called prior to putting it up saying what it was, but yeah, I guess I should have applied for the variance prior to.
Second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So you Justine, do you have anybody who's ready to speak?
Through Mr. Chair, no, we haven't received any requests in advance of the meeting.
Okay, Michael, is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this item?
Anybody in the audience attending online who wish to speak to the matter, you can use raise hand function located on your screen at the bottom. I don't see any hand raised.
Okay, thank you. So let's go around the table, Chris.
The clerk raised the question that the condo corporation, if I understood correctly, is opposed to this. Have you talked to them about their position?
No, from what I don't, I mean, if they actually had issue, would they be here today other than making that statement? I haven't really interacted with them specifically on this. I understand there was some issue with another resident and their property, and after that, there was 14 or so properties that had were inspected for bylaw purposes, and we were one of them, and I just responded to all of their requests, and for this, I wasn't aware of prior approval for a shed, replace an existing one. So I didn't know that was a requirement. I know that's not a reason, but here we are.
I think I also heard you say this is matching the existing location, the slab is already there. Was that a slab you poured, or
No.
that was there when you bought it?
It was there when we bought it.
Okay, thank you. And I think you also told me you couldn't find the survey pins you measured to as you rode. So,
Yes, where the existing asphalt meets there, that's where I made the measurement for the pictures show as such.
so it's, am I correct in understanding that's your best guess of your property line?
I'm just going by the established. I guess like everyone would agree that that's where the asphalt from the public or common area is.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that that's the actual property line.
Yeah.
I think the point where it'd be least argued about.
Okay.
Right, so
Thank
if
you.
that's something everyone agrees with, then fine.
Yeah, I think in the past where we've had this issue, we've actually asked for a site survey to ensure that you in fact need a minor variance.
Well, I've already paid for it, so might as well just get it. I understand what you're saying, but it's, arguing about inches at this point,
I think the question I'm ultimately gonna come to is condo corporation is opposed, so therefore do we defer until the applicant can get the condo corporation on side? But leave that for people to ponder. But that's it for me. Thank you.
So my feedback on that would be that we have an application in front of us, we have, and based on whatever we see in the variance, we make a decision. So I'm not sure if the count, I'll listen to my colleagues here, but the condo corporation's feedback to me is outside, separate than our decision, so.
And
I'm okay
also,
with-
there is no strict, if you had very strict rules to if you wanna meet who might, it's like a moving target. At one day, they might say, we like this building, and the other one, but if you look in that requirements, is there it has to be this color, it has to be this shape, it has to be this. I don't understand, if I meet the bylaw requirements, then.
Let us deal with it, so.
I'm in agreement with Paul with respect to condos, a separate issue. My only comment would be a certified land surveyor should lay out the property lines. Cause yes, it could be more, but what if it's less? Just in terms of where property lines are, it could be plus or minus, so I think a proper survey.
It
should
was, if you look at the photos that were prior to the road being paved, it was definitely considerably more. And if you look at any of the measurements, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I'm going by where the common area is drawn now. So it's kind of, I understand what you're saying, but are they going to reassess a road and change how it's drawn up now?
It should just be, we should know exactly where the property lines are is all.
I agree, so then when they removed the pins, they should have been obligated to replace it. They are aware that there was pins before. So the condo corp, if they actually have a problem with that, then they should pay for the replacement of those pins, which means that they should be the ones doing the survey of the property lines. Because I didn't put the pins.
No, but you're applying for the application, so you should be doing your due diligence and providing the proper information in order to complete the information, so.
Anything else, Ken?
That's
Hey, cool.
I agree with Paul, and granted, it's on a existing slab. I have no further comments, and I don't see an issue with the application personally.
Okay, I understand where Kim's coming from. I agree with you, Kim, in the sense that we should have a proper survey drawing. This gentleman's put it on exactly the same size slab, and I don't know if the slab conformed at that time or did not. It's a tough one whether or not to grandfather in on the basis, but I understand what you're saying. Legally, we got a survey, should know where it stands. So, I tend to agree with you, Kim. We should have a proper survey drawing of this, for correcting this, the fact that, two wrongs don't make a right. If it was wrong the first time around, then, should have been corrected. When this thing was being built. Well, that's my position. Any further, go ahead.
On that condition, should we maybe vote as a committee for that condition?
Well, we're gonna be voting on either approving, denying, or deferring this. Okay, what condition would you suggest?
And I see it as in minor in nature, like I don't see a need for a survey on this. Like maybe if we can confirm that road was expanded by township staff. To me, that's tells me a lot, like even if you look at the angle of the shed, it's a corner it's over, like to me, this is quite minor in nature. And to make this gentleman now go get a survey for that shed, I mean, like, I don't see a need for that right now. So that's just that's where I'm at.
Any further comments?
I would do the survey. What if it's 1 meter? What if he's in the common area? Right now, pins are gone, we don't know. And it's not a full site survey, it's just locate the shed relative to the property line.
I agree with Paul, honestly, yeah, I view this as very minor in nature, and it's just the corner of the shed, and it doesn't seem fair, maybe a bad word to use, but it doesn't necessarily seem fair to also pass the buck to this gentleman to have to figure it out.
Okay, so, we have a divergence of opinion, so, let's go through the process. So, again, so we're either gonna approve, deny, or defer. And if it's deferred, it's subject to coming forward with a, survey plan, proper survey plan, which, provides the accurate measurement to the property line. Okay, so let's go around the table. So, start with you. Defer with the condition, deny, or approve.
I think I'm confused. I would approve with the condition that he has to produce a site survey to the satisfaction of township staff. I'm sorry, I'm not clear what you're asking me to say yes or no to.
Good, good.
Through you, Mr. Chair, staff would have a concern with it being approved on the condition of a survey. As it might result in a further variance being required, it would be staff's recommendation. That if the committee were interested in adding the condition of a survey, that it would be on a deferral.
Thank you. Then I would defer.
Okay, well, approved. And defer. So we have 3 deferrals, so we're deferring this, subject to, Jack, go ahead, read the condition.
Yeah, so through Mr. The recommendation is that report D13-2025-021 entitled minor variance application D13 be received. And whereas the variance requested would provide relief from section 14, table 14.1, site specific special provision number 86 of the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw as amended, requesting permission to allow a reduced front yard setback of 1.55 meters for an existing shed instead of 2 meter front yard setback as required, and whereas a survey from a certified land surveyor has not been provided by the owner in support of the application, therefore that the committee defer the application until the following conditions are met. That the owner provide a survey from a certified land surveyor demonstrating that the setbacks for the setbacks of the proposed shed to the satisfaction of the township. And
Okay, so, we voted on it, so the application is deferred. So what you've, voted on is for something once we're out of the hearing. Okay. So, again, the application is deferred until you come back with a survey.
So.
No, no, that's, I'm sorry, it's our decision.
No, I'm not saying that you didn't make a decision. He was saying that just that corner needs to be surveyed. Was that I just wanna understand, like,
Yeah, the
you
intent.
don't need the whole property.
No, what you need to do is establish that 1.55, is it 1.6, 1.2, 1.3, or whatever?
Just that corner point from, that is drawn there, that's the only part that
That's the
needs
only
to be.
minor variance that you have here. Yes, you came forward
So
with the minor.
nothing else has to be.
I'm not aware of anything unless that 2.54 is, that's gotta be changed as well, so I don't know.
Okay, so I will have them at.
If that 2.54 is less than 2 meters, then you should have a minor variance for that as well.
Okay. Yeah, so that, just where the sheds, side butts with the road.
through you, Mr. Chair, staff will follow up with you on the condition.
Okay,
Okay, so that's that, so we'll go out of the hearing now. You prepared a recommendation for staff, so we'll vote on that recommendation. All those, I need a move in a second for the recommendation. Okay. Kim seconds it, all those in favor? All those opposed? No, sorry. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, let's go on to the next one now, it's D13. DRI Richmond Tyler 6848 11234 Township Pussons requesting relief from new zoning comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended from section 11.3 table 11.2 to allow reduced lot frontage of 24 meters for agricultural lot instead of 20 meters as requested. So Justine, do we have any anything to summarize the application, notification, submission requirements, staff and agency comments and recommendations?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so we didn't have any additional comments outside of what was included in the report for this application. And then just the staff recommendation is that the report D13 2025 -010 entitled minor variance D13 BRI be received, and whereas the variance requested would provide relief from section 11.3 table 11.2 of the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw as amended, requesting permission for a reduction of a lot frontage of 25 meters instead of the 120 as required. And whereas the application is required as a condition of a consent application B 20-25 that was approved in July 2025 at the land Division committee meeting, consent application did sever a 0.4 hectare 1 acre of vacant land, resulting in a frontage of the retained parcel being 25 meters and lot area being 9.8 hectares with an existing dwelling. And whereas the minor variance application would maintain the general intent and purpose of the official planning zoning bylaw and is desirable and appropriate for the development of the subject property, therefore, planning staff consider the request to be minor and have no concerns with the application.
Okay, so this, you're the agent for the applicant. Okay, just state your name for the record.
Jeff Pusman from Van Harten Surveying.
Okay, would you please present?
Yes, just one small thing, if possible, in all the documentation. We often look at a property, look at the front, and we say what the distance is along the front. Yes, and the distance along the front is 25 meters, but if you look at the technical definition of frontage on a property, it's usually measured at the front yard setback, and that's why when we put the application in, and we've kind of asked for it to be actually 24 meters, because it's at that point, because this line goes on an angle, like, you measure front yard setback, because, and that's usually done that way, because in subdivisions, you have pie-shaped lots and so on. Township zone, postal zoning bylaw carries the same definitions that we see in almost every municipality, and that front yard setback is measured there. So if, with the committee's grace on this, that we could say that this variance is for 24 instead of 25. That's kind of what I believe our applications asked for. We've had it pretty clear in the sketch. Just to give you the big context now about the whole application in general, assuming the 24 versus 25 is okay. The severance was applied for this property here. Before we even applied for the severance, we studied the property well in terms of grading and drainage and so on to say this would work for a proposed driveway. You can see that this is the retained piece over here. It's very, very large. It's over 4 hectares. And because of that, the minimum frontage is 120 meters. If the property was small, the actual frontage would be, minimum requirement would be 25 meters. So basically asking for frontage. We've seen many of these narrower frontages approved in postage in the past. And I ask for your support, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Christine, any receipt of any registrants?
No, through you, Mr. Chair, we did not receive any, delegation.
Okay, Nicole, anybody in the audience, like to speak?
Mrs. Chairman, we don't have any public entities.
Okay, so let's turn over to members of the public, members of the committee. Okay, Chris.
And nothing for me, thank you.
Oh,
Nothing.
Kim? Roots?
Just to put eventually, when that lot becomes separate, I guess how will access be provided to the remaining portion?
It's already been severed,
Oh,
okay, and that was a condition of that, and all we're doing is a minor variance associated with that, so we've gone through that.
no, I mean, in the future, I mean, eventually, I mean, it's, I'm assuming that this portion of the larger lot at some point is going to also be.
No, not necessarily, whether severance is, that's just, that's not the idea. Right now, only one severance at this moment, so really, we can't even apply for severance. And if there physically wasn't room, we couldn't apply either. So there's no intention for severance. So there's a driveway there now, and the new driveway will be for this one.
No further questions.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't have any questions either, so let's vote, either approved, denied, deferred. And we have no conditions, so we'll start with you, Chris. Approved. Paul, approved. Tim? Carolus, approved. And I approve as well. And it's subject to 20-day appeal period. Okay, and let's go back out of the hearing, and Justine gave us a report, a recommendation rather, and need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Paul, second by Chris, all in favor. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the next one. D13 NAD, Nad Boronik, Milosh, 504 Arkle Road, Council Puslinch, requesting relief of new zoning on new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended from section 4.2.8.2 to allow height of 5 meters for additional residential unit instead of 4.27 meters as per height of the principal dwelling unit. And secondly, requesting relief of new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended from section 4.2.C.3 to allow an additional residential unit to be within 65 meters instead of 40 meters as required. Okay, Justine, would you please summarize the application, submission requirements, aligning staff, agency, and public comments and recommendations?
Yeah, so for you, Mr. Chair, there was no additional comments received for this application outside of what was included in the report. And the report's recommendation is that report D13 2025-023 entitled minor variance application D13 NAD be received. And whereas the variance requested would provide relief from section 42A2 of the Township Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw 2018-023 as amended, requesting permission to allow a height of 5 meters for the additional residential unit instead of 4.275 meters as per the height of the principal dwelling unit. And whereas the variance requested would provide relief from section 42C3 of the zoning bylaw to allow an additional residential unit to be within 69 meters instead of within 40 meters of the residential cluster as required. And whereas the minor variance application would maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw and is desirable and appropriate for the development of the subject property. Therefore, that planning staff consider the request to be minor and have no concerns with the application.
Okay, so state your name and.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Milosh Edmornik and I live at 504 Arco Road. Essentially, we have currently a steelway building erected at that location. And our proposal is to, within that building, which was approved and built according to the permit. Within that building, or a third of it, we'd like to add a residential unit on the back end. And unfortunately, though, it is beyond the 40 meters that's allowed, and it is slightly higher than the existing dwelling. And so it exceeds the height as well. At the back of the property is a railway easement. So there'll be no further development going on back behind it either. As far as I know, neither one of my neighbors has any objections to it as well.
Okay, start with your question.
So just so I'm clear, the first minor variance did not include living space. It was purely storage. I didn't.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all we need to know. Thank you. That's it.
Okay,
That's it.
well,
No questions, thanks.
rules.
No questions, thanks.
Just a question on the proposed use. It's an apartment building. Is it for family or?
Yes.
Right, that's all I have. Okay, so let's go through the process. It's either approved, denied, or deferred. We have no conditions. So we'll go around the table, start with you, Chris.
I approve.
Paul? Approve. Tim? Willis? Approve. I approve as well. Okay, thank you. We subject 20 here.
Right. Thank you very much.
So,
I can just get the members and seconds to the.
yeah, sure. Justine read the sorry, let's get out of the meeting, the hearing, and Justine read us the staff recommendation and in a movement second. Chris, Joe, second to Chris, all in favor? Yep. Good, thank you. All right, so we're now on 7.4 of the. Okay, we're back in the hearing, request for relief on new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended, section 4.6.1 to permit a reduced MPS 1 setback for a separate parcel will be 192 meters instead of 489 meters. Okay, so Justine, could you please summarize the applications, notifications, submission requirements, only staff, agency, and public comments.
So no additional comments were received outside of what was included in the staff report. And the recommendation for from the staff report is that report D13 2025-026 entitled minor variance application D13 NIC be received. And whereas the variance requested would provide relief from section 416(1)A of the Township Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw 2018-023 as amended to propose a new residential parcel along Roselle Road with a MDS setback of 192 meters instead of the minimum required 489 meters from livestock facility operation located on the property municipally known as 6618 Roselle Road. And whereas the minor variance application would maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw and is desirable and appropriate for the development of the separate properties, therefore that planning staff consider the request to be minor and have no concerns with the application.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Jeff.
Jeff Peaceman, yeah, thank you, Chair, committee members. So the variance is a request for the MBS from this barn to a proposed dwelling over here. We're asking for 192 meters versus the larger number that's given. When you do the MDS one calculation, there's something called a type A scenario and a type B scenario. Type B scenario is when you got numerous houses together, you have to go to type B, and the minimum all of a sudden doubles. So we're in a really hot value in this case. One thing to highlight for sure is that already relative to this barn, this house and this house and this house are all close. Well, this one's 233. We're proposing 227 to that house. These two houses are already closer. And as highlighted in staff's report on page 4 of their report, is this desirable? I think a key component here is that an expansion of the livestock facilities at this place here is already limited by the 2 buildings in this cluster. So any expansion of this, if they were to evaluate to expand their barn under the MDS 2, and that's what MDS 2 is about, to expand an existing barn or build a new barn, they would be limited by these homes already. So the fact that this house is there would not impact their expansion possibilities. So I think it's a very practical application variance to be requested. Just to give background, and it was brought to this committee before, a severance was approved to take this piece off this great big one over here. Okay. Have I got that right? No, I'm sorry, got it wrong. This one off of this big piece. Sorry, lost it for a minute. So this is 0.44 of a hectare, and then was taken off of this big piece. The existing dwelling and so on will be on the retained.
Great, thank you. Good. Bring over the committee members. Chris, questions?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Oh, no questions, thank you. Okay. Cool.
No questions from me.
Okay, I don't have any questions as well, so let's go through the process. So I approved, denied, deferred. Start with you, Chris. Approve. Paul. Approve. Kim. Ruth. Approved. I approve as well. Subject 20-day bill period.
Thank you.
Great. Sure. So, go out of the hearing and, staff had, maybe, recommendation for us to consider, and in a movement is seconded by Chris, seconded by Kim, all in favor? Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the next one. 7.5 D13 COF Cofeld Dana 20 Road, private Township Pustench, requesting relief of new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-2018 as amended from section 4.4.2 table 1 to allow minimum interior side yard of 1.88 meters for a new shed instead of 2 meters as required. Requesting relief of new comprehensive zoning bylaw 23-18 as amended from section 12.4 to facilitate the construction of a new shed for storage. Okay, Christine, would you please summarize the application, notification, submission requirements, outline staff, agency, public comments, and recommendations?
Through your chair, there was a additional comment that was received for this application that was not included in the package for today. Was a written submission received from Deborah Williams and Bruce Burrows at 18 Rhodes Road. The comment reads, we oppose the minor variance application to reduce the minimum required interior side yard for accessory buildings and structures of 2 meters submitted at 20 Rhodes Road, Pustench, Ontario. We are opposed to having the structure closer to our property than the current requirements. The structure is proposed to be built as a very large structure and believe it would be obstructive and affect our property aesthetics and value, as well as having an impact on our retaining wall, gardens, and sightlines for emergency situations. We would also like to understand the height restrictions of the proposed structure, as this is a concern as well. And then with respect to staff's recommendation is that report D13 2025-024 entitled minor variance application D13 COF be received. And whereas the variance requested would provide relief from section 12.4 of the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw as amended, requesting permission to permit construction of a shed within the natural environment zone. And whereas the request Whereas the variance requested would provide relief from section 4.4.2, table 4.1 of the zoning bylaw, requiring permission to allow reduced interior side yard setback of 1.88 meters instead of 2 meters as required. And whereas the minor variance application would maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw and is desirable and appropriate for the development of the subject property, and therefore that planning staff consider the request minor and have no concerns with the application.
Okay, thank you. So you're the applicant, please state your name and address for the.
Hello, my name is Dana Copelt and I live at 20 Roads Road. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today about my application and to allow the placement of a small shed between my house and the lake. The shed will be approximately 6 by 16 feet with a height between 10 and 11 feet. It will be black to match the house, designed to blend naturally with the property and the surroundings. Its purpose is to provide clean and organized space for outdoor furniture in winter times, as well as lakefront equipment and seasonal tools that are used near the water. Placing the shed in this location makes the most sense from both practical and visual standpoint. It keeps items that are used at the shoreline close to where they're needed and helps maintain overall tidiness of the property and avoids unnecessary disturbances to the other landscaped areas. Importantly, there's no other suitable location on the lot for this structure. The remainder of the property is occupied mostly by the septic bed and the driveway, which limits the safe and functional placement elsewhere. The proposed location is the only feasible area that allows the shed for this purpose without interfering with the essential infrastructure and access. The proposal also reflects the established character of the area, which goes to the township bylaws. Along the stretch of shoreline, there are over 100 lakefront homes, with approximately 60% have sheds of a small or accessory structure situated between the dwelling and the water. These structures are common, practical, and consistent with how lakefront properties are used and maintained. With respect to neighboring views, the adjacent property to the east has been significantly built up above its original grade, and their yard and patios areas look down onto my property. And their fence and hedges already screen the area that could potentially block their view. However, the shed will not obstruct their direct view of the lake, because while they may see into portions of my backyard, they are not entitled to sideways view to the lake across my property. Given their higher elevation, the shed will sit below their sight line and have minimal visual impact. I believe the structure is modest in size and secondary to the main house. It's consistent with the rural recreational character of the area. I appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, Chris.
No, nothing for me, thank you.
Paul.
Nothing. Thank you.
Do we have any members of the audience who'd like to speak to this item?
Mr. Chairman, we don't have any attendees online.
Okay, there's a gentleman in the back who'd like to speak to this item, so if you can just move to the side and come forward and speak, thank you.
My name is Bruce Burns. I live at 18 Roads Road. We're the adjoining property. And our view is that the closer the building is to the property at a height of 11 to 12 feet is going to obstruct the view of the lake. And the particular view that it obstructs is one that is of safety concern for us because it's a high traffic area part of the lake. And we believe it's going to be dangerous to have that view obstructed. And we would like to see it just maintained at the original 2 meters rather than being closer.
Okay, any questions of the applicant?
The variance is for about 120 millimeters, or if you wish, just under 4 3/4 inches. Why is that so important? Because the shed, they're allowed to have a shed. Why is that 4 3/4 so critical to you?
I would appreciate that the 2 meters is set for a purpose. And we'd like the purpose be maintained, which is to have separation from the property line and to not create undue restriction.
Okay, Paul.
I don't have any questions.
Drew?
I actually had a question for the applicant.
Okay, well, let's finish with this gentleman.
I have no questions.
I have one regarding that setback. I didn't apply for that specific setback. I was only applying to be between my house and the lake, which was more for GRCA purposes and townships. Like the 2 meters, it's 4 3/4 inches. Like I didn't ask for that, so I don't know why that's on here.
I think that's what the variance is.
Well, I'm sorry, okay, let's do one thing at a time. So you're done? No questions of you? Great, have a seat. Okay, come on back. Okay,
Well, my question was mostly also in regards to why the variance is required. I'm not sure if I misheard or maybe it was right and I missed it, but it sounds like the building is under 10 square meters. So,
it's a distance to the property line.
but is a building permit even required in that case?
The building permit is not, but regardless of the type of structure you have, it still has to be 2 meters from the property. Okay, go ahead.
So from my understanding of the bylaws, because of where we sit in the lake, on the lake, between my house and a natural water area, natural environment, I needed to apply for the minor variance. In my application, I did not request that I was outside of the 2 meter setback from the property line. I actually believe I said it would maintain the 2 meter setback.
Your clarification from staff on this?
Sure.
So you're not, if you're within that, then if you're outside of the 2 meters, then I don't think it's necessary to even be here. It shouldn't be an application. Oh, natural environment zone.
Yes, there's 2 ways.
I'm sorry, I forgot the natural environment. zone.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
What's correct?
It is applied for the visual environment. I believe there was a corresponding between applicant and staff. And based on a drawing, it appeared to be within the setbacks. Within the required setbacks, based on a drawing.
Okay, so it's 2 meters away then.
So if applicant wants to have it 2 meter away, but based on a drawing and the conversation between the staff and the applicant, it was determined that they required a minor relief for the setbacks.
I see, so the location of that is less than 2 meters from the time.
So so it is not listed under the application, but based on a conversation between applicant and staff.
Okay.
It was determined that it was it was within the required interior setback, not outside.
So what staff are saying, based on discussions and looking at the print, I understand is that you do not meet the 2 meter setback.
The approach location.
I did qualify that drawing with that it was not to scale because I'm just a lay person. I'm not a planner. I didn't get drawings done for a shed.
So based on a drawing, it does give out the setback and 3 meter side yard draw line.
But I do believe, so it's within the 2 meters for a shed. I believe in correspondence, I specifically said it would stay within that 2 meters from the property line. The shed pads have actually been on the property for 2 years. I didn't know I needed a variance, which is why I'm here now. But the pad has actually been poured already 2 meters from the property line. For 2 years.
So, good to Mr. Chairman, the shed is 2 meter away from the side property line,
Correct.
not the way it represented in the sketch.
No.
Got it.
Okay. Steve, I guess we're asking staff for clarification. If we do not need this, then I don't see the point of, asking for the variance for the interior side yard setback.
Through you, Chair, staff can certainly remove that from the variance permissions. So long as the property maintains its compliance.
Okay, so all we're doing then is, the one item then. Right?
Through you, Chair, correct, that would be for the permission to permit construction of a shed within the natural environment zone.
And, we had, the conservation authority comments.
Through you, Chair, yes, I believe we had the comments.
And what was the comment?
They have no concern. They have no concern.
They have no concerns. Okay, fair enough. So all we're doing now is amending this. The, is, one, is, within the, it's 2 meters at least. So all we're concerned about now is the issue being within the, National Environment Zone and, the Conservation Authority, did not have any concerns with that. So let's reread this. In the matter of section 45 of the Planning Act is amended the new comprehensive zoning bylaw as of 2023-2018 as amended requesting permission to permit construction of a shed for the single detached dwelling within the natural environment zone, period. So we're either approving it, denying it, or deferring it. So starting. I would approve. Oh, approve. Okay. Approve. I approve. Okay, I approve. Okay, fair enough.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So the 20 days. Okay, so, staff had, read out the recommendations, so all we're doing is, amending, removing the one paragraph dealing with the, 2 meter. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, moving a second for that. Carlos, second, Kim, all in favor? Thank you. So now we're done with this, committee of adjustment items, new business. Do we have any from anybody? No? A staff report, none. Chairman of the committee of adjustment, Christine.
The committee of adjustment hereby adjourns at 8:47 p.m.
Hey, mover, Paul, second, Kim, all in favor? Okay, let's move into the second meeting.
Can we take a first?
Yeah, we'll take a 5-minute break, so we'll be back here at 8:52.
Record.
Good evening. Welcome to the Corporation Thousand Footsteps Planning Development Advisory Committee meeting of October the 14th. Today we'll be reviewing 2 service applications. We will be providing comments to the county's land division committee with respect to each application. So we'll start with roll call. We'll start with you, Chris Picard. Present. Okay, Paul Sedra. Present. Kim McCarthy.
Present.
Arulis Akia.
Present.
And I, Councilor Johnson, Lewis, the president as well. And we have staff, to my right is, Justine Brotherston, she's the clerk. To her right is our junior planner, Nicholas Opalala. And I assume we don't have any beyond staff. Okay, that's fine. Let's do the moment of reflection. Thank you. Let's move on to the next item. This is closure of conflict of interest. Do we have any from anybody? Yep. Okay, and confirmation agendas, you read the resolution, Justine?
That the committee approves the October 14th, 2025 PDAC agenda as circulated, and the committee approves the additions to the agenda as follows. Consent item 6.2, questions received from committee members seeking additional information and the corresponding responses provided by staff regarding the October 14th, 2025 planning and development advisory agenda.
Okay, mover, Lewis, second, Chris, all in favor? Two. Okay, Steve, would you please read the consent agenda?
That the consent agenda items listed for the October 14th, 2025 planning and development meeting be received for information.
Okay, mover. Paul, second, Kim, all in favor? Q. Okay, we have no delegations, we have no general list of items. And, there's no notice of public meetings and, we'll, move right into the first item. Okay, and the first item is B 51-25, Portsmouth Beach and Marina Limited, 43 McClintock Drive, Part Block A, Plan 373, Township Portsmouth, proposed lot line adjustment is 7.48 meters frontage by 86.55 meters or 641.8 square meters. Existing laneway from Butler Avenue to be added to a budding residential lot. Retained parcel is 12.08 hectares with 427.6 meter frontage, existing and proposed residential and commercial usage. Okay, so again, I'll just reiterate that this committee's mandate is to provide comments to the County's Land Division Committee who considers the matter for approval. And please note that the meeting is video and audio recorded and all in-person and electronic means are uploaded to the municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in the meeting, electronic means are consented to have the likeness and comments recorded, posted on YouTube. Okay, so we got the first item on it, so let's have the applicant or agent come forward for this. We have none. Do you see anybody online for this item?
I don't see any online. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, fair enough, so let's ask staff any comments we may have, so Chris.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Okay, Paul.
No comments.
Kim. Okay,
No comments.
comments. Okay, so Justine, would you please read the resolution?
Yeah, so the resolution is just as was outlined in the report. There's been no changes to the conditions.
Okay, great, thank you. So I have a mover and a seconder. Start with you, Chris, second, Carrillo, all in favor? Thank you. Let's move on to the next one. 9.1.2, B 58-25, Detour Ralph, 6675 Larry Road West, Part Lot 8, Concession 4, Township Worcester. Proposed severance is 33 meters, frontage by 141 meters or 0.47 hectares, existing vacant land for proposed rural residential use. It's a last application that was B 118-12. Retained parcel is 42 meters, frontage by 141 meters or 0.6 hectares. Existing proposed rural residential use with existing dwelling, storage shed, and shed was recently burnt down to be rebuilt. Okay, let's have the applicant come forward.
Good evening, Jeff Giesman again from Van Hertens, and Rolf Dieter is here with me. He's my client and he owns the property.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chair and Committee. This was brought to the committee and was approved as a severance a while back in 2021. Due to some situations going on, this application wasn't finished, so we're actually just asking for it to come to be the time was lapsed for all the conditions to be fulfilled and that elapsed. Therefore, we're asking for this application to come back again. This is a grouping of lots and there's been similar severances. There was 4 parcels over time. This one got split, this one got split, and like there's been several splits. So right at when we're done, there will be 8 parcels in a row. There's a big agricultural field around here. This is part of this whole yard and this is what we're proposing to sever. You can see the layout of the property. This was a large shed. They recently had a fire there and it all burned down, except for there's still some concrete there for the initial foundation. Rolf's intention is to rebuild the shed in accordance with zoning or have something close to zoning for a shed over here for this part of it at the front, right? The closer to the house is where you plan to have the shed, to have the shed. He would like to keep this. This was a manure pit at one time, but he would like to keep this for skating rink in the winter, a garden in the summer as his I remember making flooding rinks myself, and I tell you that having a concrete wall for it at the edge of your rink would be fantastic. So he plans to put a cut in it for a doorway into it to get to the rink, and then in the summer, the benefit will be for a garden and dealing with critters that are in the garden, so he doesn't have to spend too much effort in protecting it. The concrete structure has walls on it. This high? Approximately, yes. About that high. So he would like to keep that. And his intention is to rebuild the shed on here. And otherwise, it's basically the severance is about the same as it was previously. Be happy to answer questions or any comments from the committee.
Please.
Nothing for me, thank you. Oh, Bill Connor.
Yeah. Hey, can you, oh, sorry, Bruce, go ahead.
No comments.
Thanks.
Okay, the only comment I got is with respect to the manure storage. When this came forward last time around, I understand we wanted, we're recommending to be taken out, taken down.
And appreciate that, and I realize that's what was the recommendation last time. There was regret last time to say, oh, we should have made an effort to keep it. And I think it's not a bad idea to keep it. It's a neat structure, just, avoids having to deal with concrete, but I think to have the amenities of a nice rink and a good garden is not a bad idea.
Comments from staff on that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, so staff do have concerns just with respect to reference to the manure storage aspect. So staff would make a recommendation, and we can adjust it slightly from what we provided earlier today. Just that the existing manure storage facility, including but not limited to the concrete structure manure pit, be removed or decommissioned to the satisfaction of the township of Whistler. And then further that the township file with the Secretary Treasurer of the Planning and Land Division a letter of clearance of this condition. It's staff's understanding that typically when these structures are put in, it's related to a nutrient management strategy, and there's sometimes wording within that strategy for how to decommission it. So we would just be looking for that kind of confirmation.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so that's the only question I had. So, we have the three conditions you saw. Could you just read the condition that you're adding?
Yes, the existing manure facility, including but not limited to the concrete structure, brackets manure pit, be removed / decommissioned to the satisfaction of the township of Whistler. And further that the township of Whistler file with the Secretary Treasurer of the Planning and Land Division Committee a letter of clearance of this condition.
Okay, so that's been added. Any comments, questions? No? Okay, I'll move in a second. Moved by Chris, second by Kim, all in favor? All right,
Thank you.
okay, so what's yours?
So through you, Mr. Chair, we do have a workshop that's going to take place led by our CAO. And for this portion of the meeting, we're just going to have it completed in person only, so we'll just pause the recording at 9:04 p.m. As we go into this workshop.
Should we do the budget request first? Okay. Okay, I gotta come back to shut down. Okay, fair enough.
Perfect.